Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Game Day Squads Aussie Rules live show. We are here to quickly take a preview into the round that's about to be. That will be round 18 for Game Day Squad Fantasy. Cal, I'm joined by my good friend and co-host, Mr. Cal, Coach GDS there. Are you ready to rip into this round? There's a lot to talk about in all honesty, and a lot of it's to do with the forwards.
Mate, it is. I was just thinking the same thing. I wonder if I was going to ask Tom off the. I can't speak. Ask Tom off the top. Has this been one of the hardest rounds in ages for you to pick in a squad? For me, the forward line was an absolute mess. Even the defenders.
Yeah. Look, we've said it multiple times this season. There have been particular rounds where forwards have just been an absolute nightmare with buys and everything, but there aren't even that many. But I'm getting
no buys. Said you get the whole selection, and it's still difficult because
I know it's
the
just
boy
the fact
Heaney. Yeah.
Oh, I know that is very sad. First of all, note the appeal would not be appealed. It would be shut down. And Heaney, the Swans, I love their audacity though to name him at 6:30 p.m. when they knew there was an appeal going on. They put him in their starting team, but Isaac Heaney will not be featuring for the Sydney Swans this round. So if you do have him in your squads, make sure you take him out. It is very unfortunate. And although he's on the screen, he won't be playing. So don't play him.
Don't play him. We've got some good things happening this show. I'm excited to go through it. Can I give you one off the top? This is a surprise for you as well. As we were in that 5-minute intermission, I actually looked down, and some of our GDS cards that we give away at events had been torn to shred by my dog. So while that's no good, it means I can't hand them out. It does mean I can actually give away some codes, Tom, because I got a few of these. So first one off the bat, P, capital F, capital G, lowercase x. Go for that. Let me know if that one works. Someone's just earned.
You want to repeat that one time just in case?
I want to see if someone got it. I'll give it to them. P, lowercase P, uppercase F, uppercase G, lowercase x. Let me know in the comments if you're following along and you've got that pack.
Hold up. One more time for me. Let me catch
you wish. You've got enough. Let's get into it.
Yeah, let's do it,
mate. More of these.
You know how we started off.
Let us know if you're in the chat as well. We'll drop a few as well. I won't always. That was a mouthful. I'll just write them in next time.
Cal, kickoff question. I heard that you're taking control of this one and you have prepared something for me this round. And what would that be? I'm excited for this.
I have. So now, if people don't follow you on Twitter, your handle's just under your name there, they wouldn't see that you actually ran into that side. Well done. You actually ran into the great Matty Rao today.
The greatest grass eater of all time.
And I'm pretty jealous. You're on a pretty good streak of meeting some good footy players. Now, normally, so it's less of a kickoff question and more of a kickoff game. Now, normally I hate this game because it's always tough to do it when you don't actually know the players. But you've actually met a bunch of players that I want to play a game. Better bloke or better player?
Okay.
And I'm starting with the boy you met today, Matty Rao. Better bloke or better player?
Better bloke. Not to disrespect him as a player, but cracker bloke. So I'll give it to him. Yeah, really good bloke.
Yeah. Zachy Merritt.
I'm going to do the same. I'm going to go bloke, which is a testament to how good of a bloke he is. And also, everyone knows how good of a player he is. I don't think that needs to be said.
Two more. Matty Hinge.
Player. But they were under some very suspicious circumstances. So I'm not putting him at fault there. But from my experience, better player than a bloke.
And last one, super topical. Isaac Heaney, who we met about 12 months ago.
Bloke, mate. You just having a chat with him, just how genuine he was as well. Very similar to Merritt and Rao. Fantastic player. Should win the Brownlow, actually, at that. But anyway, I'll digress.
There you go. There's your kickoff questions. Good. That you're on a fantastic run of meeting players and some good fantasy players in there for sure. So let's rip in because I need to steal your squad.
That everyone I meet turns into diamonds in fantasy.
Yeah, you're on a good track record.
Think about it. I met Heaney next year, Brownlow caliber year, Zach Merritt, Hinge started popping a little bit. Matty Rao, is he about to explode this week? Should I make a last-minute sub and get Rao into the mids? Look,
mate, we've got a lot to get in.
Let's get into the first game.
Now,
But
I'm just in
now
your
we
with the time, and you've copied me. Is first off the bat is what I want to call that. You've copied me. You know I've been breathing down your neck the last few rounds. True or false?
breathing down my neck, mate. I've been beating you with ease, but Cal, we're not here to debate over who's better because that is very easily answered between the two of us. We are here to debate the players that you need to be starting in game one, the ones you need to avoid, and maybe some players to watch. So, Cal, we have the exact same three players. Clearly, we were thinking along the same mindset. Now, I might give you the floor. Do you want to talk about a particular player here that you've started and why you're so confident in doing so?
Yeah, let's start with the main man, Nicky Dacos. I don't think he is going to be out of a lot of squads if you have his card. So he's obviously in a great run of form at the moment. Last 3 games, 122, 144, 128.
Yes,
And I
sir.
just really do like him against this matchup against Geelong, playing in the middle, I think, this week. I reckon he'll just eat a ton. We obviously thought the same thing. I did actually think about playing the platinum with him, but I've gone another direction. But yeah, I do like that, putting the extra cap on him this week. I do think he is in for a biggie. I don't know what else to sort of say outside of that. He knows that the Brownlow's back on. Maybe he goes for a late run of it, and I want every bit of it. I want every bit of it.
Yeah, love it, man. And totally agree with all your points. I might talk here about Tom Stewart. I made it short this week that went on Game Day Squads, TikTok, YouTube. You haven't checked it out, check it out. But what I was talking about is how good Tom Stewart is about at playing fantasy and why everyone needs to be starting him in their squads. And you can see the midfield matchup against Collingwood, or both midfield matchups, firstly, tasty as hell. But Tom Stewart is going to be spending some time getting CBAs. He had 72% CBA attendance last round, and I see much of the same from him. He's sort of becoming a clearance specialist in a sense. So I'm thinking it's going to be fantastic. Get Tommy Stewart in. And look, he's going to go back to the defense for a little bit once the ball up's been done. But I just think that upside of him playing in the middle is going to boost his fantasy points by about, 20 points a game from where he's at, which puts him into a pretty elite group of players. So that's why I'm so high on Tom Stewart. And I might throw it over to Jeremy Cameron for you, Cal. I see you put a silver. Before you go, is a silver intentional or do you not have a bronze to start?
A bit intentional. So I do
Ooh,
have
okay.
I do have a bronze.
Hey, I love it.
Yeah, so I just really liked what I saw from him last week, and I do really like the matchup. So he went 122, kicked 4 goals, and I just feel like there's going to be a few goals in this one. And I think that if Geelong do get up, Jeremy Cameron will be a big part of it. So obviously with our strategy, you are gunning for that top 10 in the prize cards. So sneak peek behind the scenes today, we got to sort of see the final draft of them. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to be super jealous that I don't have another one with the peanut butter's name on it. But you are gunning for one. So you were trying to be consistent, gunning for that top 10. Me, I'm trying to go for those round wins. So I'm trying to pick a few more players, a few more pods, if you will. And as you know, the forward line this week was very difficult to pick, but I just thought I'm liking the way he's been going. So yeah, he's who I want to play. He might still be downgraded to a bronze. If I can upgrade someone else later on, that's why I paused. But for now, he sits there as a silver in my squad.
Absolutely fair enough. And I guess my 2 cents on it is I was super impressed with his game last round because of how high he was coming up. It just looks like with no Tomahawk in Geelong's forward line for a little bit here, they're going to rely a little bit more on Jeremy Cameron to be dominant and get back to, the way that we can see him play. We've seen it a lot of the Giants early days at Geelong as well, but they were so good at, sharing the load in a sense between between Cameron, but they're now going to completely rely on Jeremy Cameron to be their goal kicking specialist. And I want all of that in this matchup as well. But look, the numbers, you can see the matrix there. There's so much green, a little bit of yellow, and the defender's red. But it looks like this could be a really, really good game for fantasy. It's probably one you want to, if you're going to take a couple of risks, this could be the one to do it. I guess before we move on, Cal, I wanted to ask you about Brian Myers.
That's exactly who I wanted to talk about. He was in my squad for a good portion of today and has ultimately been moved out. I thought, listen, I can't go down. I can't have Myers and Cameron. I think that's a little bit too much in the same game. I know Collingwood have been a favourable matchup, but I still don't fully trust playing 2 of them. It's not like they're coming up against West Coast. More on that later. But yeah, that's ultimately why. I reckon if I didn't have Cameron and Cameron wasn't in the game, I'd probably play Myers. He has been in a bit of a shocking run of form lately. So in my opinion, it would be a little bit more of a risk. But like you said, the matchup's there. So I hear the case for it this week, but just not for me.
Yeah, if you just look at his last 5, it's not too impressive in all honesty. He's had one good game where he sort of boomed, and then the other 3 games, he's just busted in all honesty. So yeah, like boom and bust play, like could be a bit of an option if you want to go, but I'm personally just going to avoid it. Yeah.
What?
Now,
Yeah.
anyone else want to talk about in this one?
No, while you flick over, did anyone get the code? Did it work? Was the F a P? The dog's gone straight through it there. Let me know if you have got it there. We've got another few ones. Once I know that one's been claimed, I'll keep going through these other ones. But game 2, I'm a bit shocked here looking at your squad here. You've gone all in on the Freo defenders again.
Well, 2 Freo defenders. There's another one. I was all in last round, and this round I've eased up a little bit, but I'm still dipping my toes in. I'm liking it.
Start there. I reckon that's the place to start because that is where Hawthorn have been giving up points all year. So I think Luke Ryan, you've obviously gone to silver. I've gone to platinum. I think it's a massive Luke Ryan week. It is Chippy's week down in Tasmania for me. So
we've got the kings of chippies. We've got Sicily, Ryan. They're going to be going head to head for cheapies out the back. And you know what? If I'm backing in that heavyweight contenders, those 2 heavyweight contenders for who can get the most chippies, I'm going Luke Ryan every day of the week.
Yeah, I'm all for that one. I did think about playing a Clark or a Young, but ultimately I just don't like the Hawks midfield matchup, and Young in particular. I know he had a huge week last week, so maybe start there with why you've gone with Clark over Young. See what you think.
Midfield matchup. Young's currently listed on the wing as well. I'm a little bit nervous about Young's production moving forward, but I only am looking at Hayden Young when I'm looking at a good mid matchup. He's just spending too much time on the ball to ever just warrant him as being a defender. So I just think when you're looking at the matchup matrix, you're not too worried about the defense numbers for Young. You're looking right in the midfield. You're looking in the guts. How does that matchup look for him? It doesn't look great, this one. 18th. Horrible. So the reason Clark is you've got the number 1 matchup, and Clark, he likes to push up the ground, but he plays as a defender. He's going to come out the back. He's going to be. I don't think there's a duo more in the AFL that kicks it to each other than Luke Ryan to Clark. So if Luke Ryan's going to be getting a lot of ball, naturally Clark should be getting a bit of that as well. So I'm just super bullish on both of those 2. And I think it's going to be a great week for them. They've both had stellar years, period, but the numbers are screaming big game on the weekend, and I want all of it.
Yeah, Clark averaging 118, which is the same as Brayshaw in the last, I think it's 3 or 5 rounds.
Is that not absurd?
Yeah.
To say, just out loud, goodness gracious.
And that's Brayshaw with some huge weeks, obviously, right? So, yeah, it's not like Brayshaw's not been fantastic. So,
100%. Mate, Luke Jackson, I've seen you've put him in your lineup. I've also put him in my lineup, which is
so Sean Darcy.
I could maybe get a sneaky off here, but go on.
Nah, Sean Darcy obviously out with concussion, so I don't think anyone would be playing Jackson outside of that. Meek's obviously a really good ruckman the other way. I infamously played him that 1 week. Remember, didn't go well for me.
Don't be weak. Play Meek. I do remember.
How can you forget Jackson? I thought this would be a bit of a gamble for me, a bit of a roll of the dice playing Jackson. I'm shocked that you've played him. Someone gunning, unless you're really saying, hey, you need to start playing some pods if you think you're catching the top 10.
No.
Because I could easily see myself sitting here on Sunday night going, Luke Jackson scored 65 points. I'm an idiot.
Yep.
So you talk me through your thinking behind it.
You got to a full-time ruck in this game playing as a forward in fantasy. I just think when you're looking at these numbers and when you're looking at their fantasy potential, it's just a little bit different. If you look at some of the top rucks in the competition and what they're scoring recently, they're going bonkers, man. They're scoring over 120 plus, all the good ones that are around. The numbers aren't saying this is going to be a good matchup. I totally get it. But Luke Jackson's, he's a bit of a unicorn at times. And I feel like in a matchup like this, if he can get around the ground and get involved with his disposal work, which we have seen him do at a very elite level for a ruckman, As long as he can win some of those hitouts, I know it's going to be a bit tough in the hitout department in this one, but I do see him getting 25 sort of hitouts with that sort of game. We're looking at 110.
Yeah, well, with him though, like last week he only had 13 hitouts, right? So, and he still scored 113, which you'd almost take this week as a forward. I'm keen to see what you think par is or what you
Totally.
take. But he had 9 tackles, and that's where when he's getting physical, almost playing that sort of young Brodie Grundy role, where he's just like the extra tackling midfielder. If he can do that this week, then yeah, absolutely, he doesn't need to be dominating Meek in the ruck. But yeah, I'm playing for that upside. And hopefully there's some fun conditions down in Tasmania that, throw it up and hopefully, get him involved.
Yeah, for sure, mate. But you can see the disposals there as well. I think 21 for the game. So, like, just involved all around. And that's what I'm looking at. And your par mark that you just spoke about, I'm saying it's 110 this week for a forward. If I'm thinking a forward's getting 110 plus, I'm absolutely starting it. And that is my mindset in this one. And speaking of 110 plus, I don't think there's a better forward to look at over the past 2 rounds than Dylan Moore. 148 fantasy points performances in back-to-back weeks. He's been playing a lot more time in the midfield as well. I'm thinking forwards are so thin this round. I'm looking towards Dylan Moore to be someone who's going to get in the guts a little bit, get some disposals. And if he can kick a goal or two, he'll put the cherry on the top for me and get past that 110 fantasy point mark. So that is my exact thought process when starting Dylan Moore. And I'm pretty confident that he's going to do that for me this round.
Yeah, I've got no objections with anyone playing Dylan Moore. You can hear me okay?
100%.
Sorry,
sound great for me.
Sorry, my mic's flashed at me. I don't know if it normally does that. Dylan Moore, 148, 140 his last 2 rounds. So clearly a really, really good informed player. I was looking at it trying to go like Luke Jackson's the pot I want to play. I think everyone's going to be playing him. So yeah, no objections to anyone playing him this week. If you're in the hunt for a prize card, I reckon it's the smart thing to do.
Do you think people will look at just the last 2 and think it's a must start just off form alone? Or do you think that there's a little bit more that goes into it?
There's obviously a little bit more that goes into it, but you just spoke about par being 110 this week, and here he is averaging 144 over his last 2. So he can take a big step down from what he's done and still be quite dominant. But the thing is, he has been kicking a couple of goals. So even if they do dry up, he's still at about 120. So yeah, you'd take that. But like I said, I'm a bit nervous about the matchup this week. I'm going back and forth. I actually think Hawthorn can win this one, but I'm kind of hedging against that and playing Jackson. So I still might change on that one. We'll see.
Absolutely. Someone we both haven't played, James Sicily. Now, look, the defender matchup doesn't scream out against Hawthorn here, but against Freo here. But Sicily, before his injury, he was looking pretty bloody good. We were talking about his form. Like, I know he's had that shoulder injury, that little niggle, but 133, 167.
Jeez, rough doctor you are. Niggle, didn't he pop it out of his socket? He was on track
but less than 2 weeks later, he's back, so it couldn't be that bad, surely.
170, I think he was on track for before he went down. He was still the leading scoring player for, I don't know if he finished the game as the highest scoring, but he was on fire. You know my rule. Don't play a player first week back from injury, so that's why I'm doing that. But I can see someone rolling the dice with it and going with it. But yeah, not.
I think it's a good play. I just aren't confident enough to do it because I'm just looking at Clark and Ryan with more upside, in all honesty. But if I thought that Sicily would play better than one of those two, there would be no reason in my eyes to not start him for the round because I've sort of gone off the Dan Houstons, like those type of players. Like I'm just not considering someone like him in my squad because I want to play a little bit safer than that. He's just way too boom and bust for me at the moment. Even like Bailey Dale, for example. But yeah.
Well, I don't think we need to go into the midfielders. I think we know the concern with Sarong and Brayshaw. So in that middle against Hawthorn. So yeah, I wonder.
Look at the number. It literally could not be worse. Yeah. And like Brayshaw coming off some good form. But I had a little piece in our review show, Cal. I was talking about Sarong. And I know that at the start you were probably your eyes weren't as wide open as mine. But by the end of it, you're like, this is just true. And you just look at his form and the way that he's slowly been dipping. Let me give you his last 5 in particular. 87.
What a nice little subtle jab you got in there. Well done.
But it's true. So it's not really.
Go on.
87, 112, 111, 93, and then 128 just before that. But there's only one good game in that, and that's not even a fantastic game. It's just good for a midfielder this year at 128. So definitely just trending just down from that start of the year where it looked like he was scoring 150 for fun. But
Mm. So
where's
then I
that
guess
sarong gone?
where's that great question? And then does that mean it's Andy Brayshaw time? If you ask Hef from the Keeper League, it absolutely is. Get your posters back up, Hef. But no Finn McGuinness currently listed. So, one of them is going to run
And
free.
not
But
at the stream. Yeah,
yeah.
usually Finn McGuinness likes to come to our preview shows at times, but not today, not tonight. Maybe
If
he'll
you
pop in
are,
later for a
if you're around Finn, let us know what the plan is. Who's going to be going to who? But yeah.
yeah. Absolutely, Cal. I reckon we summed that up pretty well. Let's get into game 3, and you need to talk to me about back-to-back weeks of not starting All-Star Sheasel after he absolutely burnt you last round. Get me into this thought process, mate.
Okay, I've made an error here because Sheasel is definitely in my squad.
Nah, you don't have to play him.
I promise you, Sheasel is. You know why?
Very
Because
cool.
no, he's definitely in there. He's definitely in there. No, I'm playing him. Don't worry about that. But there were a few players that I was thinking about in this matchup of who are normally regulars, i.e., Goulden for me and Heaney for me. Both of them not there, so obviously no one's going to be playing Heaney. But I'm a little bit scared about this matchup for Goulden, and I've gone a bit of a pod with him. So maybe we'll start with there, and then I'll ask you the question why you're not playing Sheasel. But nothing that Goulden's done wrong. But I told you last week, I'm like, this North matchup is sneaky difficult. It is not the
Yep.
West Coast matchup, and players haven't been scoring as big. Now, in saying that, I could easily see a world where Sydney come out after a loss and win this game by 80 points, and I look like an idiot.
After 2 losses, by the way.
After
Back
2
to back.
losses, Goulden's gone 180, Warner's gone 140. I can see that happening. But like I said, I'm looking for a few zags this week and not playing Goulden. I'm pretty happy with the rest of my midfielders at the moment. But I'll tell you what, I'll be nervous. I'll be nervous if this game starts going Swan's way.
Yeah. Well, okay. My thought process, I think Goulden's one of the safest starts in fantasy, period. I don't want to use the term matchup proof, but he nearly is that exactly. We spoke about the kicks and how he just rarely ever goes under 20. He's done that twice now, back-to-back rounds, but I'm literally not concerned about it at all. I don't think things can actually get worse for Goulden. And I do think that despite the numbers indicating, you've seen Goulden and how far deep he'll push into defense to help out and get the release out of the defense. And then forward, he will push forward as well. So when you're looking at the numbers again, I don't think just looking at the midfield numbers in particular tells the full story with Errol Goulden. Clearly, he has a license from the Swans to completely go anywhere in the field, whatever it costs, whatever it takes to go get the ball. And if that's the case, mate, the defense matchup's great. The forward matchup's great. Clearly, there's a little bit there. Sorry, it's not great, but I just see him being so diverse and dynamic that it's not going to affect his performance. I don't think it's a game where we're going to see Goulden do that like he did the other round, like 188. But I do think it's a pretty safe 130 for me. And as an all-star, I'm going to take a 130. So
you're not going to lock him in for another 31 kicks, 12 marks.
No. I wish,
outrageous.
you know what? I wish I could every round, but I'll be a little bit more realistic, I think. And like Goulden, I just have, maybe it's me with my Swans goggles on, and let me know in the comments. Am I being silly here for just having this much faith in Errol Goulden and claiming he's matchup proof, or does him being one of the best fantasy players over this season sort of give me reason to feel that way?
Not just this season too, last year as well. So I get it. I'll ignore the average of 100 over his last 2 weeks. And like you said, when he wins, they go big. Question for you though, before I get to the north side of the ball. Callum Mills is back.
Yep.
For the first time this season. Now, go back 2 years ago. I remember on our friend at the Keeper League, Hef, his rankings for Dynasty Stars. I reckon he had Mills about 7 or 8 overall as a Dynasty asset. So that's how highly rated he was. Last year, he did this thing where he was almost playing like a sweeper fullback role, and not the Luke Ryan role, but some weird other role that was taking him out, some non-fantasy friendly fullback role. And now I'm really curious to see what he's going to do, because that midfield has just been humming. I mean, these 2 losses are almost a blessing, right? Because you can now you've got an excuse to bring Mills back in. But what do you think the role is, and who's going to be, as a fantasy, put your fantasy hat on, who's going to be hurt by Mills coming back in? What does that mean for the squad?
Yep, absolutely. I'd love to dive into this. Firstly, I don't think we're going to see the full effects of our Mills hurting people's fantasy production this round. With
I think he
big
might be the
name.
sub, because there's 5 on the bench. I reckon he's so sneaky to be the sub.
Yeah, either that or Taylor Adams for sure. I think they roll with one of the two. But with Heaney not in the mix for this round in particular, and how much that he was spending in the midfield, whether Mills is playing a good chunk of his time in the midfield or not, I don't think it's going to hurt anyone else. I think when it's really you're going to start to feel the effects of the Callum Mills coming in is when we're fully healthy. When you've got all these options, all these weapons, what happens then? Now, what I personally think, I think he goes into defense. I think it's an area where we need someone to go down there and just control everything, just talk. He's a really good defender, very underrated at that, at being a one-on-one defender. And I know at different times, even when he was playing in the midfield, we would chuck him down there when the game was on the line just to be like, go win us this game. Stop the ball from going through. So I think as the captain of the Swans, just like his role, where he's at in his career, he's all about winning. I don't think he's a numbers sort of guy and a role type of guy. Longmire's going to be like, mate, biggest area of need in defense, go down there, make it your own. And that's how I see him impacting. But
Because
how fantasy relevant he could be there. Will he take kick-ins? Does he take kick-ins of Blakey? Does he start doing these things? That is what I want to see and I'm interested in. And I don't have an answer for that yet, but I don't think he will. But if he starts doing that, I think we could see Callum Mills become a whole different fantasy prospect for 2025.
Yeah, definitely. In my mind, the most exciting thing about this game is what happens there, because I'd love to see him in that Lloyd role from 2 years ago. And we saw even Matty Roberts, right, in a few years, a few rounds in, he was just dominating. So, yeah, I think there's so
I
definitely
didn't even notice, but live editing, the production value lit. You didn't even try to make it the same size, though. Come on, mate.
Come on. Do you want me to go back? I can easily do that.
Nah. There you don't have to.
There you go. That easy. Thanks to Sync. Appreciate you.
In particular.
Now it's just going to annoy me. It's slightly off to the center. But yeah, that's enough probably about Mills. Let's talk about some of the others. Sheasel. He's obviously... I burnt me last week by when I say that, it's because I left him out and he went huge, which hurt. So yeah, I'm not making that mistake again. He comes straight back in. Pretty tough matchup though. So you have gone on the other side where you've gone, you know what? No one eats against the Swans when they're up and about, and Sheasel's going to be that guy this week that's going to dud it up.
Yeah, I doubted him last week, I'll be honest with you. I doubted Sheasel's ability last week and benched him, and both of us did that, thinking the same thought process, and got burned. I'm just doubling down on it, essentially. This is my make and break decision for the round. I'm either going to absolutely score massive here by not starting him, and he's going to play a bit of an average game, and I've gotten someone else to sub in that spot and just score better. Or he's going to do what he did last round. He's going to score 150, and I'm going to have hands in my head thinking after game 3, why the hell didn't I start one of the best dynasty players in the competition? So I really think it's just either way. I don't know where it's going to go. I'm hoping with the matchup matrix, it's more on my side.
Yeah, I think regardless, one of us are going to be sitting here on Sunday going, we messed up. I think one of them, right, just by the numbers, because normally they're pretty safe. I'd like to think they both go big, but yeah, that'll probably happen. Let's talk about some other players. I'll tell you someone who I thought about putting in this week. A guy that was a star to start the year, Tommy Powell. So obviously had a few extra midfield minutes last week. Now there was a bit of a change. I'm just trying to think through the lineup. They had Phillips go out, who had a fair bit of CBAs, but Wardlaw comes in, who also had a bit of CBAs. So he's not up near the 70, 80%, Tom Powell, where he was when he was being so dominant as a forward. However, forwards were thin enough this week that I was actually looking and going, right, is he someone that I'm thinking about playing? And I thought about it for a bit, but I ultimately went, no, I've gone another direction with it. But did that cross your mind at all? Or did you just not even think that path because you're like, hey, we're up against the Swans. They're not going to dominate at all?
Yeah, with how thin it definitely was a consideration. But I thought the midfield matchup's pretty bad anyway, and that if it was a Tom Powell week, it's not going to be this one personally.
Yeah,
And
fair.
Desinks literally nailed this on the head here. This is the make or break. If Sheasel plays bulk of his time in the midfield, I'm going to be the one with the last laugh here. But if he goes back in defense and plays that role with Fisher not being there, I'm going to be the one that has my hands in my head. Cow's going to be cheering. His all-star's going to pop. Couldn't have phrased it better, for sure.
Well, there you go, Desync. I've just put in the chat, if you're listening on YouTube or on Facebook, the next code for the pack. If you're following along on Twitter, I don't think it goes through to the comments. Pull it up on YouTube, on Facebook if you're quick. But there's another one. If you get it, let me know who you've got. We still don't know who got the first one. We might have to try at the end of the show, Tom, see if no one's picked them up. I hope they work. They should work.
But yeah, mate, look, Cherry, Grundy, the ruck matchup in this one. Are people going to look at it? My thoughts, they're going to neutralize each other a little bit. I don't want to go there. I'm looking elsewhere personally, Cow. What about yourself?
Yeah, it didn't cross my mind. I think I don't like playing anyone against Grundy, and I thought Grundy, he's been good, but he hasn't been great, so he's not playable. So no ruckman in this game.
Yeah, I would say, look, Fisher, got it. Gold Sexton, beauty.
There you go, Distinct. Well done. They were glad to know they work. I've got one more here. If I can decipher what it says, this one's been torn to shreds, so I'll give it a go.
No lizard this week for you, Cal?
No lizard. No, it was a matchup specific game that I liked for him last week. So, and he did burn me. So,
and I guess last one I will make before I'm happy to move on is I really needed Zach Fisher this round for my forwards, and he just couldn't play, which is very unfortunate. I needed someone like him to just be like, you know what, safe, come here.
Forward. Yeah, I feel for you. Can I give you one? I know I said it last week, but I'm still really excited about it.
Yeah, hit me.
I bought a James Rowbottom diamond for $8. I'm still buzzing about it. So
that's good. Yeah. That's good.
If I could sleep with it under my pillow, I would.
You could. You can print it out. It's no reason why you can't.
Just open the phone and put it under my pillow on his card.
Yes. Well, for any of you fantasy fans that are watching along, you're looking at the game-by-game analysis, you're thinking maybe the scoring's a little bit different, or what are these guys talking about with Game Day Squad? Game Day Squad's a fantasy sports platform. We do Aussie rules, we do rugby league, we have a lot of Australian sports, but we are here to talk about Aussie rules. So if you haven't already, it's free to play. It's also free to win. So sign up, and you never know. You might just love it as much as other people do here. It's with player cards. If you've ever gotten into trading player cards as a kid, just imagine that. But then you get this card and you put it into your fantasy squad and they score for you. So,
how good.
Pretty cool stuff.
How good. And you missed out one I know you're prepping for madly at the moment. The Women's Aussie Rules is only a couple months away. So we've got our player update going live, hopefully, potentially even this week, if not next week. So yeah, if you're super excited for Women's Aussie Rules, like I know you are, Tom, keep your eye on your Discord, our socials. So yeah.
Absolutely, man. I've been doing a ton of prep getting ready for that. And if I don't make the top 10, I'm going to blame it on that. I think it's a good little excuse. No excuses. Let's get into game 4, Cal. We're talking about the Western Bulldogs versus Carlton. We have some players in this one. I'm interested to hear your thought process. You're back on English Gang. Let's go.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Big time English Gang week this week if you're looking at the Matrix. The only thing, I was even thinking about, you know what, this is the week I load up on him. This is the week I take a bit of that gang territory that you've got. But they're playing 2 ruckmen at Carlton this week. So Pitnet's back in, and they're going to run with Pitnet and De Koning. So I still like English in the matchup, but I don't like it as much as I did 3 hours ago before the matchups came out. So yeah,
I think it's better than having De Koning on him for the entire game, personally.
I think Pitnet, I don't like rucks against him. But okay. Yeah, I think, yeah, I know what you're saying around the ground. I understand why you'd want De Koning. But yeah, that's the thought process for me. But like we saw, Cherry's not got a great matchup. Gorn's obviously out now. So ruck stocks, there's only a few you can play this week. And yeah, I'm going to roll with English. I'm going to, he was obviously really good last week as they got torn up by the power. So yeah, I'll give him another shot this week. You feel a little bit more confident with him?
Yeah, definitely. And I don't know if it's that I feel more confident with him or I'm really not liking a matchup and lost faith in another All-Star card that I have for this particular round. So I think it was just it made sense for me to do this. And like
Well, that
this is a player that, he could go ballistic. He's just had one of those seasons where he just hasn't been playing to Tim English par, but I really just see him turning things around. And if I just have faith, I continue to play this All-Star card, this could be one of the factors of why I break back into the top 10 if it is to happen. But this round in particular, no Max Gorn, so he wasn't a consideration. I think you got the Cherry Grundy matchup. I didn't like those two either or. It just made sense to go Tim English All Star. Let's roll with it. Let's do it.
Well, he's just coming off his highest score since you bought the Tim English All Star because, as you know, better than anyone else, you bought him and then he's just been dudding it up since. So he's finally getting back into that form when you were so high when you were saying that it's all over. So yeah, I'm happy for you that you're finally getting some use out of it. But it was
That's
funny
good.
there watching you roll out Marshall instead of English for a little bit. Let's talk about the midfield battle because I really like it against Carlton.
Yep.
And we've both gone the Dogs side of the game. I haven't played Walsh either. So, but you've gone Treloar, who has been really, really solid. And I've gone Bont, who's been very boom or bust and coming off a pretty disappointing game last week, saved by a good fourth quarter. Do you want to start with the Treloar, why you've gone maybe the safer side of the Bulldogs midfielders?
Yeah, before I do, can I just put a word out there and just tell me if you're worried about this or not? Tag.
Chincotta? Who's Chincotta go to?
Yeah, he's definitely going to Bontempelli. And this is the only reason why I've gone Treloar because look, if you look at their numbers wise, they're actually quite or somewhat comparable. You go Bont, Treloar, they look the same. But anyone that watches the Bulldogs play, it's pretty obvious who the best player on that team is. His name is Marcus Bontempelli. He wears number 4. You can't miss him, mate. He's an absolute beast.
He's a big
I'm
boy.
really scared of the tag, and he's the only reason that I sort of swayed. And I'm like, look, Treloar had a great week last week. I think he backs it up again this week, only because Bont's getting all the attention. It's going to free up Treloar to eat.
Yeah, I like it. Like I don't hate it because Treloar has been really good. I've played him a few rounds this week. My thinking was just both players on the field. I know there's a few question marks about Bont. I don't know many coaches will be playing him with a lot of confidence. I reckon some will still play him, but I don't know how much confidence there is. There's a bit of nervousness around it. But we've seen him. He's the king of the flu game. When this man's in doubt, he goes huge.
True.
And not only that,
So
I know you
true.
said about the tag. Is this the closest guy to untaggable in the competition?
He's the type of guy that will get tagged and then have 15 tackles and just make up for everything right there alone.
I'm gonna back him in, just because I still believe he's the best player in the comp, and I like rooting for him. So I would like to see a big Bontempelli game. But I hear the concerns. If I'm in the top 10 race, I probably don't do it. I see Desync. He's gone the other way of us. He's gone with Walsh because there's nothing safer than Doggy's not putting any work into the opposition. I tell you what, if you'd watched that first quarter of the Port game, you'd be like, you know what? I'm starting Cripps this week. I'm starting Walsh. Might even throw a few
It's
other
like
players
the
in there. Chero even
Ken
gets a run in some
Hinkley,
squads.
Ken Hinkley special, right? Bevo, Ken Hinkley, like best mates or something. They don't like.
Hey, save that for Sunday. We'll get to that game shortly. We'll get to it shortly.
Okay.
Yeah, Walsh is probably the big one that we haven't played because, like you've seen there in the matchup, bang on 125.5 and 0.4 for Walsh, Bont, and then Treloar only slightly ahead. So, what was your thinking behind not playing Walsh?
Matrix scared me. I'll be honest with you, because although they're decent, saying they don't put a lot of work in over the entire season, they're just somewhat neutralized. And I don't think it's because they put work into the oppo and they won't tag and they won't do that. But their mids are just really well rounded and they usually get on top in that aspect. I just think the doggies lose it elsewhere in the game. And that's why teams roll over the top of them. And, you can sort of see that with their yellow, green matchups elsewhere. Like that's where they're losing that battle. But their midfielders are actually pretty good at the stoppage, getting clearances. I just think that's an area that they do excel in. They've got a full mid as well. They got Libba, from my understanding, Bont, Trelaw. They're going to have all their big boys rolling in this round, and it's been a while since they've sort of had that synergy and everyone's been healthy. So I think that was sort of my thought process there. Is that and Walsh isn't exactly coming off the greatest game, but I'm not going to say that matters because Walsh has had such a stellar year that I don't think one game will define anything for him. Just I'm personally a bit more confident in other matchups, and I want to play it a little bit safer this week. And I've taken one risk though. I'll show you later, and it's not going to be not that Walsh is a risk, but I'm just sort of going all my cookies in this one jar. It'll make sense later.
Keen to see that. Funny with Walsh, he is definitely in the All-Star race at the moment. That's the other thing we've been working on, the GDS All-Star cards, which are going to be releasing for Aussie Rules, but they're probably going to come out in August. Yes, next month, as we head in towards the season. So cutting off who's going to be in it and who isn't. Now, Walsh, obviously, after the slow start, has just come running back in. So he needs to keep going if he's going to be on track, because I'd love to have an all-star Walsh card next year to be playing. But I want to talk about the defenders because neither of us have them, and they have been in and out of our squads all week. Nick Newman and Bailey Dale. Neither of us have played them. Let's start there, and then I'll tell you why it's going to be Mackay week.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, we talked about, you had a nice little blurb. Was it in the review show where you spoke about Bailey Dale just being so boom and bust this year?
Oh, king of boom and bust, yeah.
Yeah, and before I had a little bit more confidence in Bailey Dale, but right now, 99, 108, 131, 100. His past couple of games, he's sort of just getting a little bit less and less involved. Like he's going to have the kick in, so he's got that aspect of his game. But if I was going to play one, I'd play Newman personally. I do think the matchup's a little bit better for Newman. Newman's in some really, really good form as well. He's sort of one of those players that, both of these guys, when I was looking at our all-star sort of contention players, both of them are there. So it's not like they're having bad years at all. But yeah, I'm looking elsewhere. You'll see.
Yeah, fair. And Harry Mackay, why I've gone with him this week. Again, thin mid forwards. He's actually been in a bit of shocking form, even though he kicked 5 for me last week. But I know I just didn't do what I needed. I don't know. I just really like playing Harry Mackay, because he does do a lot of that other stuff. He gets up the ground. But I'm not going to lie, he's at risk for Dylan Moore. So you've almost talked me into the audible before the rounds even started. So I'm not going to sit here much more than tell you about Harry Mackay, because he could be out and it could all be, it made me look quite silly. If you followed my advice, then you find out I didn't play him on Sunday. So anything else you want to talk on this game?
I reckon we've summed it up pretty well, man. Let's move it on over to game 5. We have the Crows versus the Saints. And
well, before you do that, just saying you should let everyone know, we actually will be. So both for the Aussie Rules and Rugby League, we've got our squads. We're trying to find a name to come up with a name for us. It's because you call the All Australian squad as opposed to the team before you cut it down. We're just trying to figure out here's the people in contention. But Tom, you are in charge of that list. I think, how many names have you got it down to at the moment? It's about 30 or so.
Yeah, it's about a squad of 30 right now, around there.
So, yeah, very exciting.
If there's some news you need to tell me about Whitfield's transfer into the Crows or the Saints.
You know what? He's that good, he can get everywhere. No, I don't know what he's doing there. Ignore him.
Ignored. So there's no one else from this game for you? It wasn't someone else meant to be there? You're just rolling Sinclair, Marshall?
Just the 2 Saints boys, yeah.
Awesome. Marshall, look, I don't think we need to talk about too much about Marshall. The matchup is looking tasty, firstly. He is the outright second best ruckman currently behind Max Gawn and could end the year as the best ruckman. I'm loving the matchup. No Gawn this week. I think it was easy for me. All-star.
Well, I was thinking about this. Marshall. Could Gawn, if Gawn misses the rest of the season, let's say misses next few rounds with his foot, then all of a sudden English starts going on a bit of a tear. Melbourne don't play well. Gawn's out. Does English somehow sneak into the squad? Are you going to, obviously you're in charge of the committee. Do you have a bit of bias there? Does English go back-to-back All-Stars and then the Discord gets upset?
It could be a little bit of corruption, maybe.
Yeah. Watch this space.
Nah. We'll definitely make it a fair assessment. But look, he has some catching up to do, that's for sure, in terms of average. And that's definitely a big consideration that I'll put in. And then if he's not going to get close to that average, despite games played, I think it'll just be too obvious to not give you Max Gawn All-Star. So
before we'll get onto this game properly. Auntie Booger 22. So we will build the squad. So for the rugby league, for example, if there's 18, you can play each round. So there'd be 18 for that. Marshall, for me, I just think the matchup's fantastic. So yeah, it's kind of like Tim English. I'm playing them. I don't want to put any salary cap into them, but I think Marshall's my number one this week. I want to talk about the guy that you haven't played here before I talk about which defender.
Yeah, tell me about Jack Sinclair this round.
No, so I'll start there. Jack Sinclair. I really liked him last week, and I think he is in a good little bit of form. And obviously, he does run through the middle. So, pretty neutral matchup. I just really liking the way he's been going about it. So last 3 rounds, 118, 158, 117. So hovering around 120, 130, which you'd sort of take at the moment. And I'm picking him over Wanganeen Miller. I've done that. Even though they're bang on, I always seem to favour Sinclair.
Smart.
Yeah.
Smart man.
But you haven't gone either, and you can never pick them, which means that both of them this week are going huge.
Yeah, well, okay. There is a last-minute hesitation I could make later, and I'll tell you what player it is for, but I would only consider Jack Sinclair like yourself. I think just the upside of Sinclair is a lot higher than Wanganeen Miller this season. So, yeah, that's just my thought process with it. But no Dawson for me. Rankin, of course, out. So, just by the way, can't play Rankin as a forward. He's suspended, all right? So, don't try to chuck him in your forward lines. I know they're thin this round, but nah, that's not the one.
They're thin, they're not Dawson, that thin. Yeah.
So, he's been copping a bit of stick, right? He's been getting tagged in some games. He just hasn't been getting as involved. He's just sort of, I just haven't liked what I've seen from him over the past couple of rounds. And just some comments after, like, it doesn't matter, like, as long as we win. But I don't know, Jordan, like, 69 fantasy points last week, 126, 103.
I know he's
past couple of games.
He's definitely doing the team thing for the Crows. He's not doing the squad thing for the fantasy owners, is he?
No.
So, but I don't know. No, what's his name this week for the Saints to tag him? Blanken. Saints tagger. Windhager.
Yes,
yeah,
Windhager,
sorry. Not in there. So, yeah, sorry. I knew it'd come to me. I was just thinking, I'm like, no. But, yeah, so not there. So I'm not sure if I'm worried about it. But, yeah, for you, when you don't play him, it's always a big thing because I know how much you love playing Geordie Dawson.
Yeah, he could explode. He's one of those players that whenever people start counting him out, he comes back and scores 150, 160 game day points. And then people are just settled and fine with him again. He's done that before and he will continue to do it again. So, look, it's not the be-all, end-all for Dawson. I just don't want to start him this round. And, yeah, it's about it from me. Anyone else want to talk about in this game?
Now, ranking kind of takes the excitement out of it. No, I do have my platinum steel that I'm happy about, but yeah, not going to be playing him.
Yeah, there's too many good mids options this round, in particular, to warrant starting a steal in my case.
I am going to be watching Mateus Philippou. He's
definitely going to be watching Mateus Philippou as well.
So keep an eye on if he dominates again, because then it's not play him time, but it's definitely sweep up as many cards as you can off him.
Absolutely. Cal, let's keep flying along. We got game 6. We have the Melbourne Demons versus Essendon. I have loaded up in this game, and you are pending in this game, apparently.
Yes. So currently my squad has 21 players in it, and I've earmarked my defender spot for Rivers, but I just don't own a Rivers card. Amazingly, I do not own a Rivers card, any rarity. So I've got to go out. It's my job between now and Saturday night to find one. If you have a bronze Rivers, hit me up on Discord from Twitter.
If you have a bronze Rivers, I'll double it, whatever he's offering.
I actually think, you know what I actually put up? I actually put up a trade before we jumped on the show. I offered a Silver Sarong for a bronze Trent Rivers. So if you've got a spare silver swan, my offer
So
is
you want
sitting
to
there
talk
right now.
Councillor wrong and say his form's all bad, and now you want to get a Rivers out of it. Listen
Hey,
to this, ladies and gentlemen. Listen to this, folks.
Silver's tempting, Auntie Booger, but I need the bronze. I need the bronze. But you know what? I might get desperate between now and Saturday. So yeah, if I still
We'll
don't
be
have
in
one in
touch.
there, you could. Yeah, exactly. Let's get through because there's a few other players. Obviously, you didn't get it right 2 weeks ago, but you got it right in a big way last week. But it was against the tasty matchup.
It was.
Essendon's not as easy of a matchup, but you're still pretty confident that he's just going to dominate the middle.
Yeah, just like you got a defender playing in the midfield, and I just don't think that like matchups definitely do come into consideration, but it's not a red matchup. It's not like they're playing the best this year. We've got no track, we've got no Gorn. This is a completely different midfield. They're going to start relying on other players. It's going to be a tough day in the office for them. And I think Rivers is going to have to pick up a lot of that slack. It is what it is. He has been pushing back quite far as well, which is good. He's helping out in the defense, and I just think he's going to get his hands on the ball a lot, and it's just going to be a nice little tasty matchup for him. I'm excited. I can't wait. And Rivers as a defender this year, I'm loving it.
Yeah,
Loving it.
Yeah, I'm looking through. Like I think Merritt's pretty standard. Normally I play a platinum with him this week, but I put my cap elsewhere. But I'm not dropping him. So I don't know. I don't know. We need to talk about him. Hopefully he starts the game like he started the last one, and not how he finished it. Caldwell, I'm pretty sure is in everyone's squad at the moment. Just a lock.
Oh,
pumping
tell
out
me
scores.
About it.
I don't know. We need it. 150 bombs are not bad in your forward line when you're praying for 110 from the others. So we take that at the moment. He's been an awesome bit of form. I don't know if you want to talk about him. Maybe let's go to Ridley before I talk to you about Nick Martin. No, you know what? I'll just say it now. I miss when Nick Martin was a defender. That was good. I liked playing him as a defender. I wish I could play him as a defender this year, but I can't. You have gone for an Essendon defender in our game, which is Ridley. So
I really regretted not playing Ridley last round. I'll be honest with you. And I looked at the numbers and I thought, look, and it was the weather as well, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was a shocking day.
No, it was two weeks ago. That was when he had the 61. When he dudded it up was the wet.
Too.
Because Merritt played poor in the wet as well. Yeah.
Yep. But last week, 19 kicks, 15 marks. They're giving him the ball, Ridley. I just want all of that. I'm loving Ridley. I really regretted not playing him last round. I sort of just shunned him out of my defense. And this week he's straight back in. There's not been many rounds this season since he's been back that I haven't started him, other than the first round he was back, the rain, and last week. But now he's back into my squad, and I'm excited. I think he's just good upside player, pretty good base as well for fantasy points.
Yeah, and he is my backup for Rivers. In there.
Okay.
So I've got to if I don't.
I'm more on the fence about Rivers, which is funny. I'm closer to subbing out Rivers than I am for anyone else.
So yeah, interesting. Fair enough. No one else. I think we've sort of covered all of them. Anyone else you want to talk about there? You want to talk about Flag Dons 2024?
You got to get through us, mate. You got to get through the Swannies. I don't know about this. Oh, look at that.
Oh, who is that? Fresh from today. What were you doing? Getting some sushi, and you ran into the great man. Awful choice by him for wearing a West Ham top. Jeez.
Yeah, I know.
That man does not like winning.
On Twitter, he was just like, West Ham top, not it. Oh, yeah. Okay. Look, there was a good selection of grass in that store, actually. And I took some of the finest with Matty Rowell. He gave me his suggestions. He thought some turf, some synthetic turf might be good for the gums. Nice and healthy, chew. So I went with him, and we had a great feed. And now we're here talking about footy.
You know those sushi that has way too much lettuce sticking out of it, and you're like, there should never be lettuce in it. That's the ones that he's ordering, I bet you. But no, that's awesome. I was very jealous when you're on the phone and you told me that you could see Matty Rowell.
I still haven't showered.
No. Let's talk about this game because we're actually going to be at it. So
we are. We're going to see Port lose.
We are.
Suns at home. That's a fortress.
I've got a sign to smuggle in, so keep an eye out for me being the clown that's upsetting Ken on the way off after we lose.
Absolutely. But look, let's talk about the obvious first. Let's go that Sam Flanders is a must start. He always is a must start. And especially in a round where forwards are so thin, you must start Sam Flanders. Don't even think about it. Just put him in, leave him. He's done. Don't
Yeah,
even look
no.
at any data. Don't worry about anything else. No matchup matrix, no nothing. Straight in the squad.
No, it's particularly this week with Tuke Miller out injured as well. So like even
Now,
more opportunity to eat in the middle.
before you get to your prize card, I should play him this week. Look, I'm trying to get a prize card. I don't know if I can trust in my man Matty Rowell to help me get to the top 10. But you must have looked at my Twitter post from this week and saw that Noah Anderson averages 139 fantasy points at home, and you are all about it, upgrading him to a silver over the likes of someone like Merritt. Talk about that.
Yeah, there's a few factors here. So Tuke Miller out. So I think Anderson's going to have to dominate in that midfield. Your Twitter's posting out some good things at the moment. Shout out to you, Tom. Go follow him if you're not, because I know you did a bit of a deep dive into the difference
Right
in
here.
that.
See that?
Yeah, you've learned from the start of the show. You've learned, the difference in the home and versus away scoring. I think Anderson was probably the biggest difference out of all the players. The only person that's not impacted, of course, is Flanders, who's just, I think he was bang on the same. I think he averages one more point away. Is that right?
It was a point difference, mate. It
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
matter.
Yeah, insane. But Anderson for me, and then also I need someone to actively root for if Porter getting beaten. In some
Yep,
little bit of
love it.
enjoyment. He's my emotional hedge this week, and he is in good form. So I really do like it. Port do give up a lot of points because our midfielders love running one direction and not the other way. A bit like the Dogs, right? Last week. So yeah, I'm liking him. But in saying that, I can't not play Rosie again because that was just painful watching the man on
Punishing.
track for 78 disposals he was on track for, and I'm sitting there being like, I dropped him. So yeah.
Look, numbers don't scream out it's a rosy game, but you've learnt your lesson. You're not going to ever bench him again, especially, he's just too good of a player that he could just pull something out of the hat at any moment in any round, and you're just going to pay for it if you don't start him.
I can't do a U and, right. Like I couldn't ever see him in person knowing that I've dropped him for certain matchups and not walk up to him and be like, you are my prize card. So it just wouldn't feel right. I've got to play him at all costs. And again, I've got to take a few of those swings, right, with the prize card because my seasonal competition's done. So my upside comes in someone like Rosie. So last week would have been a perfect example of that, right? We spoke about if I play him, I beat you, and I'm there up at the top. But because I didn't, I had to make it up other areas, and I didn't do that. So yeah, I'm excited for this game. We'll be there. I don't think I'll actually bring a sign. I don't know. It's a good look for game day squad if I've got a hoodie and then I'm standing there for the, my version of the West Australian front page. I don't know. Ken would like that. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
Let me give you my 2 cents just quickly before we move on. If you're going to start a midfielder in this game, start Noah Anderson. I think he'll be the top scoring midfielder. He has the best matchup, and that if you're going to pick between the Rosie, Butters, Noah, there's a lot of good talent. He's the top of the list for me, at least for this round.
Yeah, fair. Do you want to quickly touch on Dan Houston? Because none of us have played him in this matchup.
I just need more consistency out of him. Like, he's going to shark the back of the contest, and just some rounds that just ends up being 164 fantasy points looks unstoppable. And other rounds, it just looks like 60 and 74 fantasy points over the past 2. And it's just not good game. The Suns clearly just play different at home. And it's just like if there was going to be a game where he's going to start turning it on, I just don't think the matchup screams it for this one. So, look, I'm a little bit nervous. And Kane Farrell's been taking a good chunk of those kick-ins as well.
Those two.
Which has been hurting his performance just a little bit, because that's like 12 points a game if that's 3 kick-ins that you're just leaving on the table from that alone.
I can live with that because you know how much stock I've got in Kane Farrell. So I am all, even if it's hurting Dan Houston's output now, you know what it's like for me. So yeah, fair enough. I think we've covered that game.
Let's do it, man. Let's get over to the next one. And we got 2 more. We have game 8, Richmond GWS Giants, and welcome to my squad, Tom Green. I've had people in this live stream over the past couple of weeks saying, is Tom Green our play? Is Tom Green our play? I'm saying it right now. Tom Green is now the play. We have one of the best midfield matchups in the competition in Richmond. This guy, the only thing that annoys me a little bit is that he's averaging like 37 disposals over the past 3 games. He is in some of the most elite form, but his handball count is 21, 25, 20. It's just unfortunately a lot of it's happening off his hand. And if he could change that handball to kick ratio a little bit, he would go from where he is now to like the best midfielder in the comp. But I just think there's been a progression in his game. He's been getting more involved. He's getting back into his form. He had that ankle injury earlier where he did that against the Swannies. It just didn't look like he was right from that point on. But it seems like over the past couple of rounds, we're seeing that dynasty stud that we all had at the top of our list years prior. We had Tom Green as one of the best 3 dynasty mids in the entire game. And now he's heading back into that sort of range for me. All my faith is restored. And this is now the time for me to roll out Tom Green. It'll be his 2nd or 3rd time this season, which is a shock. If you told me that preseason, I wouldn't believe you.
Yeah, I'm shocked. You were saying that there was something coming, so I'm assuming that he is it.
That was it.
Yeah.
Cookies are in that jar to say. And so I was looking at Walsh, I was looking at Green. I'm thinking Green. This is the week he explodes. Love it.
And these things just said exactly what I was thinking. He is the Errol Goulden of handballs. So Errol Goulden is 20 kicks a game. Tom Green is 20 handballs a game. Just lock it in.
Yep.
He does it every single week.
100%.
He has been in good form. I'm just looking at there, like you said, over the last little bit. So I like it. I do like the matchup, right? We saw Rivers eat as a midfielder against Richmond last week. So
exactly.
Yeah, and then Cripps and Walsh, I think the 2 weeks before, I think they both had a pretty good matchup. So yeah,
they dominated. Yeah,
Taranto in there as well. Like I don't think that impacts he's not.
Taranto's
him
just
being back.
Yeah,
I was just gonna say he doesn't shut down, like that has no impact. Presti is back in. That doesn't impact Tom Green. So I do like it. It's a bit risky, but you're in that position where you need to take a little bit of a risk. So I like it. Obviously, Lockie Whitfield's Lockie Whitfield. I think I love the match field. I told you I was playing him. He was in here.
Matchup is.
I wish I could play him twice. I wish I could have a 23rd player.
You tried to in the other game, but
well, it happens. It happens. Lockie Whitfield's that good. But yeah, touch on Taranto because he's had a good bit of run of form, but nowhere near where he's an absolute lock for people every week.
It's not amazing, but it's safe. Safe is the word I'm going to use. He's just around that 120, 130 mark every single week. I do see a little bit of upside to go a bit further in a matchup like this against the Giants because he's not going to get the attention, nothing like that. And Nank's actually been playing pretty good out of the ruck as well. So hopefully he can give him a little bit of silver platter service and get it straight into his hands and onto the boot. But it's against his old team as well, which I think plays into this a little bit. Like he's going to have that little bit of dog in him. He's going to have the desire. So,
Tom, we got some breaking news here.
No.
Huge news that is going to affect the weekend. Are you seeing this? Are you seeing this?
Snagged yourself, Rivers. This is corruption of the highest level.
Let me just throw this in here, screenshot. There you go. From my emails. Hopefully that comes through. How good. How good. Thank you, Lindsay. I appreciate that. You have got an absolute.
It's actually a good deal for Lindsay, though. I can't lie. I'm acting like I'm mad, but he's just got such a bargain out of Caleb Sarong.
Hey, I had a spare and I needed it. So hopefully, let me know, Lindsay. Is Sarong going into your squad this week? Is he playing, or is he playing? If he's not playing in one of your classic, what if he's playing in one of your other competitions? Hope he goes to good use. But yeah, no, I'm happy about that. There you go. I'm feeling good. My squad's good to go. No more pending on Rivers. Ooh.
I guess the only sidetrack from that, the only thing that I would maybe talk about, like the only other discussion you could have in this game is Toby Green. Is this a Toby Green game against someone like Richmond? Like their team isn't so good. Can he get on the front foot? Like he hasn't had the best fantasy year.
No.
But could this be one where he sort of turns it around and we go, wow, he's kicked 4 or 5 goals in this one. And he's finally come back.
Do you know how many times this year we've said, is this a Toby Green game?
Oh, too many to count. All honesty. Yeah.
Do you know how many times he scored over 120 points this year?
I'm going to say none.
Once.
Okay.
So even if it is a Toby Green game this year, it is not a Toby Green game.
Is it? Yeah.
So no, I'm not playing him. He's a tease.
It's a talking point though. With thin forwards, this could be a type of game where he could get a run on a little bit and impact.
All right. Well, we got to wrap it up.
Is it enough
Auntie
for me to start?
No. Auntie Booger's laptop's dying. We've got one more game to go through. She could be up for a prize at the end here. So
Did you delete my card?
I may have stolen him. Yeah, I do that sometimes when I
You
don't want
thief.
to.
He's taken my silver Dunkley and just chucked it into his lineup. Love it though. So Dunks is just Dunkley at the moment. It's like the best matchup for mids, or just about the best matchup for mids. And
Yeah.
talking about the hottest mid in the competition.
Can I talk about this one? Because
Go.
I touched on this in the review show, and I think I've shown it here by playing two midfielders. And I'm playing a gold Danaher only because that's the only Danaher I have. But I just think West Coast, they've just been so terrible. Now, I didn't like that they sacked their coach this week because now it meant that this strategy is up in the air, but I'm still going to back them in of being terrible, right?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking two midfielders, take advantage of that matchup. I could see them getting absolutely smashed here. So I'm going all in on this matchup. Last game on the Sunday, I want Danaher 6 goals. I want Dunkley Neal to be on track for 150 points again. And Zorgo. Everyone's playing him. So
Yep. Auntie Booger, is that a pack of the week submission? How many plats are you pulling out of these packs? Is it the same pack?
Is that the one player pack we had before? If so, nice.
I'm not
That
sure.
is fantastic.
Get that speaking
of pack, yeah, talk about it.
Pack of the week. Go check the Discord. We've got the pack of the week coming back, and we're going to highlight it in the email that gets sent out weekly. And we're going to contact a winner for who we think is the best pack of the particular week. But that's across all sporting codes. We're doing it a little bit different. There is no restriction. If you like cricket, send your cricket packs. If you like Australian basketball that's about to start up again, do that. Women's Aussie rules is about to start. We're in the preseason right now. Go rip open some of them packs. You got some goodies, you send them, and I'm going to pick the best one every week to get a reward and shout them out on our Discord.
Yeah, make sure if you're gonna open them, even if they're reward one, screenshot them, get them in, because who doesn't want an extra chance of winning something? Because it's going to be some cool prizes with them, Tom. We're going to try and spice it up. But quickly back to this one. I don't know.
Zorko is just Zorko. Do we need to talk about that one? Forward stank. Zorko, not stank.
The Danaher is a bit of a pod, so I don't know if I will be playing the gold. I would want to play a bronze and put some of that salary back on. Even Dacos up to a platinum or something like that. But he obviously has been in really good form. So I'm predicting a smacking, and if that goes true, they'll score big. But I'm really interested on Will Ashcroft in this game. He's been in awesome form, and his cards are so expensive at the moment. But I'm thinking if I see another good game from him, I reckon I might pull the trigger on a nice one.
Nice. I actually am a bit lucky that I have some Ashcroft stock. I've got bronze, silver, 2 golds. I'm ready to go when he dominates. So I'm all for it. Let's go, Ashcroft. Make those cards even better for me. I'm loving it. But Danaher, I think he could be a bit of a bully in this one.
Is it would we?
Yeah. Please. I hope not. He does sit deeper though. Like if there is going to be a forward that sits deep and gets some cheapies, it would be that one. But I'm backing Danaher to just get contested grabs and kick him from deep and just dominate the Eagles.
Yeah. Should be a rubbish game, but hopefully I've got a wet sail coming home on the Sunday night, and hopefully a few good scores. I'll be sitting there on the review show, hopefully beating your score.
Take last year's Brownlow medalist Lockie Neal. You're going the double Brisbane mids. Do you want to quickly talk about that before we get into our blind pack?
Yeah, I did kind of touch on it when I was kind of like, I just love the matchup, and he's coming off 171. And if that's not big enough for you, he went 155 3 weeks ago. So, the score he had in between that was still 115.
I guess it's all right.
Yeah, like he's awesome. And you know what he's doing as well? Just like Nick, he's like, you know what? There's a Brownlow up for grabs. And he could win a third, which is insane.
Yeah, potentially,
because if Cripps would have got suspended a few years ago, he could have this could be his fourth. Like that, which is nuts. So, yeah. Brisbane Lions do not deserve someone as good as Lockie Neal, but you know what? I'm going to play him because I think he's going to dominate.
Yeah, Lockie Neal, mate. He could be in for a huge week. Look, the matchup just screams fantasy points for the big stars in this one. And I'm hoping, as we said, that Danaher climbs into that a little bit. But you could come home with the sales in fully going, come home really strong.
And for the first time in a few weeks, it won't be because I'm relying on Waterman. So I'm looking forward to not having to stress about that.
Thank goodness you've got to know that.
But I hope Waterman plays well this week because you know what? I won't be able to resist next week if the Eagles turn it around.
But just look at this, the green here. It's just absurd. Just looking just tasty at every spot. Take your pick. Take your pick for the position. It could be a really, really good round and a point that you're just going to target and be like, Brisbane are going to beat down on West Coast. And I want all of the fantasy players that are associated with that. Sorry, West Coast fans. We love you. You know, your time will come. It's just not, you know, you won somewhat recently as well. So, you know, your time did come and it will come again, just not now.
Yeah. Must be nice.
Squad reveal. Just see it all in its entirety, of course. You have seen it, but this is the Rivers spot, I assume, which has now been filled.
Thank you, Lindsay, who said Sarong looking for more midfield time. We'll give him a run. Love it. He is hopefully going straight into your squad there, and your Rivers is going straight there for mine. So thank you for that. I fell down a position last week. I'm going to fall back up this week, so we'll see how we go. I'm pretty confident. I like my squad this week.
Nice. Zeus Cannons or the Matty Rouse.
The Matty Rouse, the Grass Eaters.
Weekly, not good. I had that as red, so I think you might have put something over that. It was not good last week.
Well, it was too hard to go up and down. I just made it yellow.
Fair enough. Seasonal, 16, same. A little bit disappointing, but I'm still in the hunt. I just need to put a couple good weeks together. But this is what we're here for, the blind. Alrighty, guys, get some comments in right now. We're going to be ripping these open. We're going to be giving them away. I think I know who you should give yours away to, Cal, but I'll let you decide that.
Lindsay, for this comment here, Lindsay is getting another one. As a thank
started
you.
Off with Lindsay. So where do you want to start here?
Go to left or right. No legend, which is a shame. I'm all out of my code.
Oh, no way.
Fisher not named, Lindsay, you did ask. Sounds like you still need a forward. So I'm going to give you the silver Eric Hipwood because I've just told you how much I loved that matchup. And even after I said Hipwood's not that guy, he might be. So there you go. Fish out for you. Hipwood in.
Okay, ready?
Yep.
Sean Darcy goal.
I'm keeping that.
Keep that.
Free my boy Sean Darcy.
You've done well there.
Hughes on the scent for a market.
Alrighty, I'm going to go Auntie Booger. Auntie Booger's back again. Laptop's dying. Always shows us support on the stream. So why not? I'm going to peek, though, because I want to make sure she has the best chance of a good one. I'm going to go here first. And I'll put that on the transfer market for you. Who? I'll keep that. I'm so sorry, Auntie Booger. Come on.
Pack of the week submission from you. Crop that up. That is what you're trying to beat. Beat
Ready?
that
Look
this
at this.
week.
This is how you do it, everyone. Screenshot, bang, and submit it. But just don't submit a pack like that because I have a good feeling you might not win.
No, if you're winning like that, then we're not getting many submissions. So,
Cal, next show is going to be the review show. We're going to, after the round, hop in, talk about all the players' performance from the round. We're going to go game by game like we did tonight, and we're going to, just highlight all the fantasy relevant content that came out of it. So that's when you'll be able to catch us next. We'll have some comms out on our socials, so make sure you look out for the link and catch us. But yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed this round. Are you ready? Are you game day ready? Hopefully you are. We've gone through every game. We've showed you the good matchups, the players to play. So put that squad together. Get excited for a really, really good round of footy that's coming up. And, mate, I can't wait to beat you 3 weeks in a row since being back from America. It's good. I'm back. I'm back in form. I'm like Tim English out here, bro.
Back in form. Yeah, I've got to go back, send you back overseas just so I can get a win. I love Lindsay said, Hipwood probably less frustrating to watch than Joey Danaher. It's not a good sign when you're making, trying to talk up Eric Hipwood. But, hey, for your sake, I hope so. So, yeah, it's always good when we get to go to the footy. Like we said, we're at the Port game on Sunday. Looking forward to that. And then we're over to the Swans next week. So, yeah, lots of footy coming in. So I'm keen for it. Can yell at our players to get some more cheap touches out the back.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Mate, that wraps us up. What a good round. For anyone that's on Twitter, of course, we do sort of rely on comments at times for some of these giveaways. So maybe if you want to come a part of them, get on the YouTube, get on our link, and we can include you as a part of giving away some packs, giving away some of the player cards. We would love to give as many as we can out over the season. Cal, that'll do us, mate. That's the Game Day Squad live preview show. Done and dusted. I'll catch you on the flip side, and hopefully I beat you, man. I can't have you beating me.
We'll see. You won't shower before now on Sunday. Keep that Matty Rao hand clean.
All right.